Hello, YouTube and trade pros. Welcome to another video, and I hope everyone's having a great day. In today's video, we are going to break something very interesting down, and that is how to actually swing trade stocks to their fullest, from finding stocks to swing trade to actually all of our qualifiers based on technical analysis basis, and a little sneak peek at a few names that I've been looking at and that we could break down. So, in today's video, I want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy this technical analysis series and understand how we can find great stocks and swing trade great stocks. So before we do that, this ultimate guide to technical analysis, I want you guys to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and get ready for this video. So let's get ready for the intro, and we're going to go over some very key concepts today. Before we get started, I noticed a lot of you aren't subscribed yet. Why don't you hit that subscribe button for more videos like these and when we do go live every single morning. So let's get ready for this video. Throughout the swing trading technical analysis video, I'm going to cover 7 key concepts. And we're going to list them here on the screen, and we're going to break them each down individually so you guys can get a better understanding of what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and get started with that. The 7 concepts we're going to be going through today for that ultimate technical analysis guide is number 1, finding stocks on a stock screener. Today we're going to be using TradingView, and as you can see, we have TradingView up on the screen here with a bunch of stuff on the chart, but we're going to be breaking all that down for you. Number 1, find that technical analysis TradingView stock screener. Number 2, we're going to be going through market structure or price action, if you will, how to draw levels, what to look for, what markets look good, how to find those trends. Number 3, we're going to be going through volume and volume profile, how they play a role in deciding what we're going to do with these assets. Are we going to swing trade them, or are they good buys, are they good sells, so on and so forth. Number 4, we're going to be using the moving averages. So this is going to be our technical indicator for the day. We're going to be using the exponential moving average. Number 5, we're going to go through some multi-time frame analysis, mainly on a daily and a 1 or 4 hour. And then number 6, we're going to be showing you how to set some alerts on TradingView for our swings, because we want to be patient in terms of waiting for these to happen. And finally, number 7, a sneak peek of options order flow that actually helps us a lot with swing trading stocks, and we're going to show you why and how that helps us. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1. We're going to be going through TradingView here for the stock screener. I like it. There's a few criteria that we've got preloaded here that I want to show you guys, and starting off with the technical aspect of things on this stock screener, it has a whole bunch of tools. I really like it for finding nice stocks, for finding trending stocks, for finding high market cap stocks with good potential. So I want to make sure that my exponential moving average, I want to see price above or equal to the exponential moving average. And I want to do that for 2 different exponential moving averages. First is going to be the 100-day EMA. That's going to be the first one. I want to make sure that we have price at least equal to the 100-day EMA, ideally somewhere around it, right? And number 2, at or just slightly above the 50-day EMA, the exponential moving average. So those are the 2 main criteria that I look at. And then also, this is important as well, the market cap. I like to look at larger stocks for these swings, from $2 to $10 billion in market cap minimum. And we like to look at volume too. You can pump the volume up maybe to 500K or $1 million, somewhere in that area. I think it's good to see stocks with heavy volume, meaning that they're liquid, right? So I like to look at these on the volume leaders front here. This is great. This is a special little screen on TradingView. You can see if you drop down the menu, you have a lot. If you guys want to learn more about this TradingView screener and wants to break it down for you guys, just drop some comments down below and let us know, do you want to learn this thing? So we got a few names that pop up here, names that you've probably seen recently: Nia, Work, Carnival, GE, Moderna, Apple, Tesla. So like a lot of these names are pretty good, and you can develop actually a watch list on TradingView with a lot of these names that pique your interest, right? I like gold, for example. I think there's an opportunity coming up in gold as we've seen it get killed recently. So here on TradingView, if you look to the side, we've got this cute little watch list here, and we can break down and add our favorite stocks, our favorite symbols, and develop a pretty large list. So right in front of me, now that we've got Microsoft, let's start with Microsoft because Microsoft has a lot of movement. It's a heavy stock, massive market cap, good volume. So it's one of the stocks that I like to hold and to swing trade. So let's take a look at Microsoft here. We could have looked at NEO as well. We could have looked at Carnival. We're going to look for a few of them on that list. So we're going to be breaking down a few more from the list that we just saw. So if we use this stock screening list, why don't we take a look at Apple afterwards? I like Apple because it's a pretty big company, nice market cap. I think there was a buy on it recently. We were looking at around that 114, 115 level. So let's take a look at Microsoft first. This is a reverted view of it. So we're doing a bar replay here to look at Microsoft, and we're going to be talking about step number 2. Step number 2, you can see I actually have an alert here. All right, should we get back down in that area? That's my nice little ad zone. But step number 2 for this process, for the technical analysis process, we have to understand market structure and price action. To give you guys a quick little rundown, when we're looking at a bullish trend, we can denote the bullish trend by one simple rule: higher highs. You probably already know this, right? And higher lows, right? That is how we develop a bull trend. So that means that structure should look something like this if we're going to continue to the bull side. Now, there are 2 components to the bull trend that we should know. Number 1, the break and retest of a top. So if we have something like this and it breaks the prior tops, then we pull back into that prior top and we're anticipating to see that continuation move, right? That would justify a higher high and a higher low. Now, number 2, we can actually look at the impulse. So if we have a peak right here, and then from this area, what we call the impulse, we actually break a new peak, there's the potential that price actually pulls back into that impulse start to see that continuation of a move. So as we've seen right here, we broke the top, that was right here. We pull back, right, somewhere around that top, and we make a push to a new high, breaking this top, right? So price pulls back actually into that impulse to see the next continuation up for a good swing trade. Now, there's a third component where you can lie somewhere in the middle of the peak and the impulse, right? So if we draw these lines a little more straight, this is the peak. So let's denote it as number 1. This is going to be number 2, right? You can pull back somewhere in between the 2, which creates that higher high and higher low. So that's another possibility too. That's the third possibility for this uptrend. Now, I typically like to see the pullback into the prior tops or the impulse because that really solidifies the area. Those are 2 areas that are high probability that price will stall. Somewhere in the middle, it's a little harder to identify where it's actually going to stall because in this scenario right here, we're pulling back. So this would be a impulse area of interest because it was this prior impulse area. And then this prior peak right here, we could stall here, but you can see we're already kind of in between the 2 levels. We can just buy it here, but then you risk it pulling back and then going back up. So that's step number 2, understand the market structure. And if we look at Microsoft right now, like I said, you have a cluster of support right here, which could hold out, and you have a cluster of support right here. I personally like the cluster of support down at the bottom because this was a prior impulse area to create new highs. Now, this would still hold the bullish structure if we do pull into that 200 or so area based on the impulse. So number 3, when I'm looking at this, what makes sense in terms of volume and volume profile? So I'm a big fan of volume and volume profile. If we look at volume profile on the right-hand side, you can see, okay, there's a big volume cluster right here, a value area, right? Within this area, you're going to want to see price moving around, right? Microsoft is going to be attracted to this big volume area. However, right here is the edge, the start of the volume profile edge, right? There's a big edge right here as well. This is the start of the edge right where we have drawn this level. Why is that important? Because edges act as support and resistance. Right here we have an edge around 220, right? So if we do look for a long right here, my initial target is going to be 220. So I really like those edges to identify these areas. And we also look at volume here. So on the descending move, is volume increasing or decreasing? Here we had a pretty big volume spike in sell volume, but we also had an equivalent volume spike in buy volume, right? Big green candles on buy volume are great in structural areas. So I want to see what happens down here because this is my area of interest. This is also the crevice or the edge of the volume profile where I can anticipate support actually holding out. Now, the other alternative is that we pop from here and somewhere above this area based on market structure. I'm going to be looking for either a breakout of 225 or a little break and pull back into this 220, 217 area for that continued long. Step number 4, what kind of indicators do we use for this? Now that we've identified the structure, the levels, support and resistance, you can draw some support and resistance based on the extended peaks and areas of rejection and multiple touches. That's why I've drawn one here. So what kind of indicators do we use? I only use the moving averages. The 100-day and the 200-day are great moving average areas for longs. Why? Those are two institutional buy levels. It's often seen that big money starts flowing into assets around the 100-day and the 200-day moving averages. So if we're coming into the 100-day moving average, as we saw here, yes, it does not hold it to the exact cent every single time. But when we come in towards it, we start to see good support structure. So that's why I like to see assets above their 100-day and 200-day moving averages. And if they touch and hold those areas with a nice green candle, I want to buy those areas. I want to be long around those areas should all of my other criteria come into play, right? You got some decent buy volume that's coming in around that 100-day moving average the last time we tested it, right? You had that big sell-off volume and that quickly dissipated here and buyers started to come in. So right at this volume profile edge. So that is step number 4. And step number 5, multi-time frame analysis. This is the daily chart. When I swing trade, I often start on the daily chart. On the daily chart, because I can see where my big levels are, I can see where my big support and resistances are, I can see where my volume profile support resistances are. I like to look at moving averages based on the daily, right? If I'm using 100-day, it's going to be based on the daily. And I can find the clusters based on those moving averages, structural support, and volume profile support all on the daily. And then what I do is we'll drop down to either a 4-hour or a 1-hour to solidify the actual support. So when we get into the level on the 4-hour or 1-hour, is there a nice big green candle and big buy volume at that area, right? Because sometimes if you wait for a daily candle to close green, you may be missing this move. So the question is there going to be a nice either daily green candle or is there going to be a nice 4-hour green candle for us to get in? And I want to see big volume on that move. So if we make this guy go a little, there's our first doji green candle on mediocre volume, but you can see it's around 205. I want it close to 200. Right, so when we get this candle right here, this longer extended bear doji right into our support zone, maybe we can go into a 4-hour and see, okay, you know what? There's actually a nice big green candle in this area, right? There's a nice big green candle around this area. We can maybe look to start buying it, right? This is going to be a good level around this level for our longs, around that 202, that 200 area. So if we continue this move, you can see, okay, well, after that candle, we actually pulled back somewhere within it, right? My entry is going to be somewhere halfway between that 4-hour candle, that nice big 4-hour candle that formed on good buy volume in my level, right? If we look at the daily, we're already off to the races. What does a 4-hour candle do for us, right? It lets us get in before this daily candle actually closes green because we've already missed out on a few bucks of opportunity here, right? After we wait for this candle. So I really like that 4-hour candle to really help us get in on that time frame. So you get a nice green candle on the 4-hour and then you start looking to actually jump into this chart, into this trade, right? If we speed this up a little, we can see we get that continued push to the upside through our first area of interest at that 220. And do we go further up? We can see big red candles on the 4-hour with some decent volume. That may be it for us. That may be the calling point for us, and we may be out of this trade at this point, right? So there it goes, and we have continued here. Let's take a look at the 1 day. Step number 6 in this, I like to post my alerts on TradingView. So if price was very far from the area of interest, we could simply click the area of interest. We can right click it and we can just press add alert, right? So I have to get out of replay mode apparently. So if I'm interested in this, maybe I want to add an alert somewhere here, add alert at 202, right? So I can do it once every time when Microsoft crosses this value, right? I can have it on my app, pop up, email, whatever it is. So I can make an alert super easily like that, especially when prices aren't really in our areas of interest yet. Those are great. So we can create a longer watch list with a lot of alerts so we can be identified when our swing trades do come to fruition, and we could continue our analysis from there. Now, step number 7, the final step. Around this time, November 2nd to October 30th, if I want to confirm that there are actual strong buyers at this level on a stock like Microsoft, I could confirm with Flow Algo. It's a options flow tool, order flow tool that allows us to see option premium buying and interest to either upside or downside. So why is this important for stocks? Let's say I'm not trading the options. I'm just swing trading this stock, right? Pure stocks. I kind of do both, but let's say I'm purely trading the stock. Why would I want to look at what the option is doing? Why would I want to look at premium on the option? Well, if the premium's substantial with a farther out strike, so if we come down into 200, for example, and someone starts buying 220 strikes that are worth $1 million in premium, then I get interested, because what that does is it creates order interest from a lot of institutions that see that order, and on the broker side, they have to hedge the position, so they end up buying that much worth of shares to hedge this options position by whoever bought it. So if we look into Flow Algo and we take a sneak peek at Microsoft and what Microsoft has been doing. So if we go into our historic data right here and we look at Microsoft around early November, late October, we can see around that time, late October, you can see there were puts being bought, a lot of puts with big premium, right? 180, people are thinking, oh, it's going to go down to 180. November 2nd, more puts, 195 puts, 195 puts. They're not putting that much money because I want to see what the premium is. What are these guys betting? How much are they putting down to see this kind of premium, right? On Microsoft, like 90,000, 180,000 is not that much. 500 is getting to that point. But this is what I want to see, right? Early November, someone's betting that Microsoft is going to be at 205 at least by December 18th, right? And at that point, it was at 200 bucks, right? We can see someone put $1 million down. Another person put nearly $1 million. Someone $4 million that we're going to see a push up in in Microsoft, right? Early November, you can see 230. Someone put $680,000 worth to see Microsoft at 230 when it was trading at 214, right? So this kind of flow, this kind of order flow and big money interest in a stock based on the option helps me decide, you know what, okay, there is actually potential in this. We could see this thing go up. There's people putting big money down at a key level. I think this is good to go. So that was step number 7. And using those 7 steps, we can identify where the good swing trade opportunities are. So let's take a look at a few more names here. So I like Lemonade, right? We had already done the technical analysis here on Lemonade for a potential breakout, right? We had this prior resistance here. We were looking at it on November 24th. So we got the first head fake breakout right here on November 25th. And then today, November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving, we got that continued move. So we break this first initial top here based on structure, right? And we wanted to see price pull back. We wanted to see price pull back from these levels. We wanted to see this kind of break and then maybe pull back and then continuation. We got a slight little pullback here, but nothing too crazy. It was more maybe an intraday pullback and a breakout. So after drawing these levels out like this, we could see, okay, where is the volume profile edge? So at this point, if you'd miss this breakout, you're waiting to see if we can pull back into just under 70 for that continued move. We can see that price is going up here, higher highs and higher lows. And if we take a look at our volume, you can see volume to the upside starting to increase. So why don't we look at a 4-hour chart and we can see, okay, what's going on here? So we just got this break from the last price action. We got a huge downward candle on pretty decent volume. And this big 4-hour candle that's not formed yet, we could look for longs coming back down into it, right? The break and retest of a top. We had an opportunity somewhere here where you saw these guys creeping up, and I wanted to see it a little lower, but this was the other opportunity that we had mapped out based on the market structure of this point. Now, when it comes down to the moving averages, in this case, it's a relatively new stock, so it is above the 100-day moving average. It hasn't even formed a 200-day moving average. So we're kind of playing it off of these guys for now, and we could also play it off of flow. So we take a look back. I'm just looking for a few days back when we were looking for those entries. And what do we have here? The earliest thing that we had was, or the closest thing that we had was November 19th. We had someone look for 100 strike calls by June, right? This was when the price was trading at $60. Someone didn't put that much money down, but compared to the rest of this flow, there's not really too much over the past 70 days or so, right? So November 19th, someone wants to see lemonade up to $100 by June. That's a pretty substantial bet considering we don't really see anything else. So we can confirm, you know what, this is going to be a good buy somewhere into this area. We're looking at these like lower 70s if you didn't catch this breakout. Now another one, Fisker, before we wrap this up, I really like this one. It was one of those EV companies that was good for a short time, not a long time. And where were we looking at this guy? We were looking at this guy, you can see this prior top of resistance, right? I wanted to see a break and a pullback into this area. You got the break. It broke up into the prior resistance above that, right? And breakout traders might be getting excited for this break right here. They could have been like, whoa, you know what? I like this nice, big, juicy volume. So we were looking at it right here. The break and retest of these tops, that was 15 trying to pull back. Now, around this time, November 23rd, it looks like there's big red candles. But look, volume is weak. We finally crossed above the 200 and the 100-day moving averages. We have some momentum on our side. We're looking at this edge right here. Remember, we talked about volume profile edges. Edges right here, great area for that support structure to play out. And on the 4-hour, if we look at that point in time, we were getting some buy candles, right? There were some buy candles coming into this area, a little more speculative than we wanted to, but what really helped us out was flow at that time. So late November 23rd, 22nd, you can see from November 23rd, 1650 calls, right? $25 calls, $25 calls, $20 calls. They're not the craziest of premiums, but they start adding up. On November 25th, you can see 175K, 45K, and they start stacking up for early December expiries. So this is what's helping me really get convinced of this move. Now, if we've missed this, based on structure, we are anticipating to see price pull back around that $18 to $18.25, $18.30 mark. When it comes down there, what we could do, remember step number 6, why don't we set an alert? Right? Let's create this alert. I want to see what happens if we come down into Fisker at this area. And should we get some more flow that helps us out, right? Today for early December, a few days until expiry, someone's still buying these $25 calls, right? Someone's a pretty good premium, right? Over 100 grand for both of them together. So what we're seeing in this case is by next week sometime, we're anticipating to see Fisker back above $25, right? So that could be a nice little pullback move. I'm looking for this area to pull back. Naturally, we have another volume profile edge right here, considering this is the only time we've traded above this area. Nice volume profile edge here to help us out. So between 1830 and about, you could even say even a little higher, right? 1830 to about 1850, we could start looking for those longs. But keep in mind, early December, we've got that earnings play, right? So let's keep that in mind. And let's identify those 7 steps when we're trying to find this opportunity. Remember, the 7 steps are finding stock screeners, right? Finding the stocks to screen on TradingView or whatever screener you guys like based on market cap and technical analysis criteria and volume. Step number 2, market structure and price action. Does it confirm the bull side market structure, right? Do we have areas that we're looking to pull back into? Number 3, volume and volume profile. Do we have edges from the volume profile to hold us support? Do we have good volume picking up so we could start looking for longs, right? Is there weak volume to the downside, good volume to the upside? Step number 4, do our indicators, do our moving averages coincide with our idea? Are we above the 100 or 200, or are we close to them so we can play them off as support? Number 5, multi-time frame analysis. Can we drop down to the 4-hour or the 1-hour and identify some big, nice candles with some nice volume to actually hold our support? Number 6, let's set that alert on TradingView as you saw we just did. Number 7, take a peek at options order flows. See if people are buying the premium for a certain strike in the future. Maybe that could help you out. I know it sure has helped me out. And with that being said, wait for our options course. It's coming out, it's dropping, and we're going to have a lot of order flow stuff throughout it. With that being said, this was the complete ultimate wrap-up of technical analysis for swing trades by Victoria from TradePro Academy. And I want to leave it with you guys and George for this final message, and I'll see you guys next time.